are up in the mountains today on this gloomy, windy spring day, rolling the dice on a piece of property that I've had permission to for a while, but I've been putting it off just because it's not a sure thing. You know, despite some of these leaves starting to pop, the higher elevation sites still have a ton of snow, and I can't get there. So today, we are looking for what the landowner describes as a hole in the upper corner of this property. Now, this entire mountain is covered with crisscrossing logging roads, so this hole could be from that. It could be a sinkhole. It could be from where a very large tree a long time ago got blown over by the wind, left a hole. It could be a home, you know, a cellar for a home, which is what we're hoping for. Or it could be a hole somebody dug a long time ago to hide a bunch of treasure. Hopefully we will find out. We still have a ways left to go. I am following one of these old logging roads. They said that it's sitting right on one, so I don't know. We'll see what that means for us today. Upward and onward. Out of breath. Logging road comes from this way, continues on that way. It's an old one, it's all grown up, and I think we found the hole. Now there's no stacked stone to speak of, but that's definitely a 5-foot deep depression in the ground. Potentially be a basement, I suppose, but we're gonna find out. There's no stone walls or stacked stone or anything around here, so what we're gonna do is get out the metal detector, scan around, see if maybe we can find some nails that would indicate that it was a structure, maybe some non-ferrous items, so maybe we could find out how old it is, and we'll make sure to check inside the hole, see if anybody buried any treasure. All right, well, it's been just a couple minutes, and there's definitely lots of iron in this area, and we just dug our very first target, and it's a nail, and man, I'm looking at the top of the head of this nail, and that looks pretty old. I'm not gonna get my hopes up quite yet. Let's find something that's not a nail first, but I don't know. This definitely seems older than like a logger's camp from the early 1900s. All right, see if we can find something else. Well, we know what that is. And if you don't, that is 1/2 of the shoe for an ox. An oxen foot it's a cow, so its foot is cloven, so it has 2 of these instead of 1 long horseshoe. We find these very, very often, and very often in the mountains because they were predominantly used to drag lumber out of here. All right, that's a good sign. Let's keep going. Well, I just got a little mid-tone, and it wound up just kind of being this little folded up piece of brass, which I don't think is anything really, but as I was digging the hole, I broke into some pottery here. It's glazed. It doesn't seem like loggers would be drinking out of this. Maybe, I don't know. Plate. Pretty cool. Let's keep going. Alright, we got our first non-iron item here, and I'll be honest, I'm a little stumped. It's just an odd shape. I suppose it could be the end of a spoon. Maybe that's what it is. The end of a spoon, maybe a pewter spoon. It's quite thick. Let me see if there's some writing on this. I don't think there is, but it's starting to rain out here. It wasn't supposed to rain today. No, it's just a piece of pewter apparently. I guess we're going to call this the handle of a pewter spoon, which is pretty exciting, actually. Not because it's a spoon. I mean, we find spoons all the time, but just how old it is. I was, let's say, I was 50% sure this hole was going to be just a hole, a sinkhole. It was like a 30% chance that it was going to be a logging home from you know, the late 1800s or early 1900s, and just a very slim chance that we were going to find a colonial home out here. But this is kind of seeming like what it is. Man. All right, well, let's keep looking, see if we can maybe find some old colonial buttons or maybe even some coins. Let's see. Well, I have not yet found a well. The cellar's right there. And I did find a spring. It doesn't seem to have any standing water. But you can see that, you know, there's like a little bowl right here, clearly wet, and then it goes down through. I guess it's reasonable to assume they may have had that dug out at one point, and that's where they were getting their water. You don't really have to dig a well if it's just bubbling out of the ground like that. I always find it interesting, you know, things like this. Is this why they picked this spot? I mean, water was obviously pretty important. It can be a good place to swing the metal detector. Alright, we just got a very deep, faint tone. Check it out. That is an old thimble. Brass. Crushed, for whatever reason. An incredibly good sign. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this was a home site. And judging by the pewter that we found, I'm going to say that it was 1700s. Need to find a few more things to kind of zone in on that date a little bit better, but this is a great sign. Somebody was living here, repairing their clothes. All right, let's see what else we can find. All right, I just got a very loud mid-tone on the metal detector, and it was very, very shallow, but I have a pretty good idea, oh man, of what's in this dirt clump. Look at that. That is going to be the frame of a knee buckle, a colonial knee buckle. Let's see if maybe the inner workings are still in there. That would be amazing. Oh, it's gone. That's okay. Every time I find one of these, I always get lots of questions about what it is. Apparently it was fashionable to wear like short pants back then, short pants and high socks, and this was at the bottom cuff of the pants to tension it up. It was just a part of fashion back then, and it fell out of favor, and as of yet hasn't come back. But that's really, really cool. This is, 1700s easily. It's hard to say if it's the beginning or end, but it's exciting nonetheless. All right. Heck, I'm happy with this. Let's go home. Just kidding. We're going to keep going. See what else we can find here. All right. Well, high tones are seemingly pretty hard to come by out here, but we just got one. 82. Very nice. Let's see. Whoa. It's definitely something round. Brass. That'd be a coin? That would be amazing. Coin or a big round button? What do you think? Seems like it was in a wet spot. I'm not confident that we're going to be able to get a design off of it. What do you think? Do you see anything? Get my toothbrush. See if I can clean it off a little bit. Alright, well, one side is, unidentifiable. I can't make anything out there. This side, it almost looks like it's a large cent. If you can see that. Yeah, I think that's what it is a large cent. Hard to say what the date is down there, but I will try to identify the design of the bust, throw the date up on the screen for the range that this would have been made. That's pretty cool. That's later. That's not colonial at all. That's quite a bit later. They must have been here for a while, I suspect. That's interesting. If this is early 1800s, They could have been here for 60, 70 years, then moved on out of the mountains. Awesome, we got a coin. All right, let's see if maybe we can find some more. So I was detecting around, mind's wandering, and I was thinking about how far away this home site is from the closest town. And if I was on a horse, it'd probably be more than a day's ride. Maybe not quite that much. So were they going to church? It would have to be an overnight trip, I'd imagine. Maybe they did, I don't know. But then, it kind of reminded me of this old Vermont legend of, Vermont families up here in the mountains. They don't quite have enough food to get their whole family by through the wintertime. The story goes they'd mix up this magic cocktail. A good portion of the family would drink it. They'd go into a long sleep. They'd get buried out in the snow and thawed out in the springtime. Left mouths to feed, I guess. That's not something I happen to believe, but it's definitely a legend that I didn't just make up. Anyway, we're gonna keep going here. See if we can find a few more things. The wind's picking up, sprinkling a bit. Crows are calling at me. Almost time to get out of here. Alright, just got another mid-tone. Again, another shallow target. Check it out. Spoon handle, another spoon handle. If the first one is in fact a spoon handle. It's very, very thin. Not, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, nothing like the first one. Similar size, but you can see the thickness difference. So I'm not really sure what this thing is, but this is definitely a utensil. Awesome. Well, definitely a home. Still haven't really found much, personal items. I guess a spoon is pretty personal, but targets are very, very slim out here. There isn't a whole lot, but it seems like everything that I'm finding is definitely something interesting. All right, let's see what else we can find. All right, I just got a very iffy target. Decided to dig it, and man, am I glad I did. This is probably one of my favorite things to find, if it is what I think it is. For sure. Check it out. It's a little key. Awesome. Look at that. God, it really makes your mind race about what this could have gone to. A drawer, a little box, treasure chest, jewelry box, who knows? Man, it's a really pretty one too. Intact, doesn't appear to be broken at all. A lot of times we find them, they're real bent or broken off or whatever. So personal. Somebody would have been walking around with this in their pocket. Not sure what they would have done when they lost it. Let's keep going. See if we can find some more stuff. See if we can find the box this goes to. Man, I was just about ready to call it a day out here. The wind's starting to kind of pick up a little bit. Check it out, high tone. 79. Wow, that's really shallow. Oh, there it is. Another really wet copper. Check that out. Man, the water does not treat these very well. But this one is incredibly thin. I would be surprised if this one is a large cent as well. Let's see what we can find out. Alright, well, unfortunately, I don't have a positive ID on it. This is incredibly thin. It has been sitting in very moist soil for 250 years. But I am confident in saying that it is most likely a colonial coin, probably British, There is a chance that it's a state coin, Connecticut, Vermont, Massachusetts, one of those. But I'm going to guess it's probably a British coin. We find those often enough. That's awesome. This is definitely a home site. People are definitely living here, dropping their money. That's awesome. Unfortunately, there's no cleaning these up. Once they get like this, there's no coming back. So we are probably never going to be able to find out what this is. But based on where we found it, the other things that we found here, we can say pretty definitively that this is a colonial copper coin. 1 penny. Beautiful. All right, let's pack up, see what we found today. All right, well, I am calling it. We found several things, but a couple times there was like an hour in between items found. Just a lot of walking around. There's a lot of iron in the ground, but not a whole lot of non-ferrous targets. But I'm not complaining. We found some good stuff. Let's check it out. All right, left to right here, we have a piece of pewter, which is kind of a mystery. It's probably a utensil, but it's hard to say for sure. It's certainly a lot thicker than this spoon handle. We have our colonial era knee buckle with, unfortunately, the inside missing. We have this mystery, maybe piece of escutcheon or a lamp. 2 coins today, a large cent, and this, which I am very confident is a colonial copper, probably British. We have a small little jewelry box key, a small thimble, and then, of course, this kind of mystery piece of twisted up brass in our little piece of pottery that we found. The age of this stuff is kind of all over the map. I mean, this is for sure colonial, as is this. This is a little bit later. These also strike me as being a little bit later. It's hard to say. I mean, it's very likely that these folks arrived in the mid to late 1700s, stuck around for 60 to 80 years, and dropped all this stuff while they were here. So I did go down in the cellar and do some metal detecting. And people often ask if I do that, and typically I will do it once and then not try again. Because you have to understand, the leaves fall off the trees every year. They get blown around, most of them in holes like this, and then they decompose, and there's like 1.5 feet of topsoil at the bottom of that cellar. And besides that, every nail in that building is likely in that hole as well. So I've never had very good luck actually detecting in the hole, but just in case somebody buried some treasure in there today, I checked, and not today. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.